Hi there, my name is Catlin. I studied Euroculture in Göttingen and in Groningen, and I graduated in June 2016. For the past 7 months, I've been working at the Legislative Assembly of Ontario in Canada as a bilingual information and education officer. But I'll go into a bit more depth about what that actually means later on in this video. I apologize in advance if I am looking down a lot. I am just looking at my notes that I've made. Okay. Let's get started with the questions. One of the things that Euroculture really helped me with were my presentation skills. In the past, I had done some presenting, but in Euroculture, you had to do it a lot and very frequently. So over time, you just gained more confidence, and that is something I am very grateful for. In the first semester, we were working on the group paper and had to present our topic multiple times. In the second semester, it was all of the IP presentations. Then there was the IP itself with a huge audience. Then in the fourth semester, the presentations were for the thesis as well as the professional project plan. So over time, like I said, I gained more confidence. I was able to gauge who my audience was, how I could keep their attention, and how to break down complex information for them, especially with a helpful PowerPoint. I did my internship at the Brussels office of the German Bar Association, which is a lobby group for German lawyers. There, my tasks were to write articles for their newsletter. I edited speeches and proposals. I did some translation. I went to a lot of meetings and took minutes. I greeted groups who were coming in or just looking for other offices. So a lot of communications related things, which were skills that I think are very easily transferable to any sort of job. After submitting my thesis on June 1st, I moved back to Canada that day, and I took about a month and a half to relax, enjoy the summer, spend some time with my family, and then mid-July I started applying to jobs. And I have to say, I think I got pretty lucky when it came to finding a job because I found one maybe a month and a half after I started looking. So about 3 months after finishing Euroculture. I had sent out about 15 to 20 applications, and I already got an interview with the second application that I sent, which was for a position at the Legislative Assembly, which is where I currently work. However, I didn't immediately get the job. So shortly after that, I had started working at a construction management firm as a receptionist as well as an assistant to the president of the company. So that was a lot of fun, but I moved after a month because I was offered a position at the Legislative Assembly. When it came to writing my thesis and also finding an internship, I started very, very early. For my internship, I started looking in the break before the second semester. And I had managed to find my internship by January because I had talked to tons of people, I asked for recommendations, I asked people to connect me with others, and that really sped up the process for me. That was very helpful because then I had zero stress in my second semester. I had my internship, I quickly found an apartment, and I was pretty much good to go. That way I could then focus on all of the courses in the second semester. For my thesis, I started preparing in the summer before my internship, so that when it came time to preparing my plan and my proposal, I didn't have as much work to do. So in the summer, yes, I spent a lot of time in the library and researching, but I think it was worth it in the end because I had way less stress and had some vague ideas when I needed to do the work, and I was able to submit it on time. As I mentioned before, I didn't really worry about finding a job immediately after Euroculture. I took a bit of time off, and then I started my job search a month and a half later. But again, I asked a lot of people for their advice to try to connect me with others, and I spread the word that I was looking for a job. Right now, I work at the Legislative Assembly of Ontario in the Parliamentary Protocol and Public Relations branch as a bilingual information and education officer. What that actually means is that I create education programs and I deliver those programs. So it might be to students who are 10 years old, it might be students who are in university. There's a whole range of people coming in. I also go on outreach trips to communities across Ontario. So talking to them about how Parliament works, the 3 levels of government, how laws get made. I meet with visiting delegations. I help at conferences and special events. I also help organize interparliamentary functions. I respond to a lot of public inquiries via email and via phone. So those are pretty much my main tasks. What I like most about this job is the diversity. No 2 days are the same. I meet a ton of people. Though I might not necessarily become friends with them, it's just nice to have a lot of varied conversations throughout the day. And another thing that I really like is that I am very close. I am in the place where laws get made. So I have a very good understanding of everything that goes on. I'm kind of like first-hand access to the information. And yeah, that's just not something you can necessarily find somewhere else. What I'd like to do in the near future is maybe move back to Europe, work in something more policy related, but I am also preparing for the Foreign Service exam for the federal government in Canada. So that will happen in the fall. So we'll see how that goes. My advice for you guys when you're in your 4th semester is to try to strike a balance between the professional project application and the thesis. Don't neglect one or the other because it can then get to be a lot. My partner and I had a really good routine. We finished our work on time. We even finished our proposal early, and that allowed me more time to work on my thesis. And when I worked on my thesis, it was really like a full-time job. I started early in the morning, I finished in the evening, I went to the library every day, and I was very rigorous about that. That worked for me. Doesn't necessarily mean it will work for you, but it is a recommendation that I have. When you start applying to jobs, I suggest applying to any sort of job. It does not necessarily have to be in your field. Even if you think you're not fully qualified for a job, again, apply for it. The worst they can say is no. And I think honestly a lot of people who apply don't meet all of the requirements. I think as long as you meet the most important ones, go for it. What I found very helpful was that I created a folder of bookmarks with job sites that I browsed through regularly. And I also signed up for tons of email notifications so that I knew right away when a new job posting was available. I made a chart of different organizations that I was interested in. I regularly checked their websites, and I also created tables with deadlines, requirements, location, things that I needed to consider while I was applying. Unless the posting explicitly says that they do not want you to call them or email them, I would say call them, email them, ask them about your application. Did they receive it? Where are they on the selection status? When will interviews be held? Some people consider it nagging. I think it shows that you're keen and that you're proactive about your application. Again, though, I wouldn't do it if they tell you not to. Use your network. It is very helpful. I pretty much let everybody I knew that I was looking for a job, and I got tons of recommendations. Likewise, though, I also sent job postings to people who I thought might be interested in them. So return the favor, help each other out. It can be very useful. My last piece of advice is try not to get frustrated. I mean, I had convinced myself that it would be okay if it took me a long time to find a job. It's fine. There's a lot of competition. There are lots of jobs. And at some point I got that feeling like, what is the point of all this? Will I ever find something? But yes, you will. It just takes patience. And if you put in the time and the effort and apply to a lot of things, something will eventually come your way. I think that's all I've got to say. I hope you found it helpful. Have a great afternoon.